Welcome to your awakening. Please take all as your reality is adjusted.
Yeah, I'm still muted. Donkey! Schoolboy mistake. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm going to say it, even though, supposedly you're not supposed to say those kind of things anymore. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, well met, salutations, all that good stuff. Hello to everyone in the chat room. I will say hello in a moment. I just want to do some other stuff first. Right, okay. Now we've finished screen sharing. That's an interesting selection of recommended from Goethe. That's actually somewhat convenient. Look at the right screen, get the right tab open. Right, okay. That's worth watching if you haven't seen it. Dr. Mike Yeadon. I know, loads of people have got their misgivings or dubious questions about Anna Breeze and stuff like that, but listen to what this guy is saying, Dr. Mike Yeadon. Or look him up on somebody else's channel, somebody else interviewing him if you really don't like Anna Breeze, but listen to what he's saying, yeah. And yeah, quite a good selection there. Small town boy, oh really? Sorry folks, I'm getting distracted looking at the recommendations YouTube is putting in front of me. So let's get rid of that for now. Okay. Yeah, let's start where I was going to start, which is sort of just a little bit of song for you. COVID killed the influenza, if you saw it in the subtitle. COVID killed the influenza. COVID killed the influenza. Wear a mask when you're in your car. No more facts, the lie's gone too far. Lockdown came and broke your heart. Put the blame on PCR. Oh. COVID killed the influenza. Everybody sing. COVID killed the influenza. Yeah, hello.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
You have tuned in to Sol Excalibre. You're not mistaken. Welcome back once again on this Moon Day evening. A little bit running late like we always are. So it's not like we're running late because this is what we usually like. So just after the 8 p.m.-ish, yeah. Hello, everybody. And we've got Dino in the chat this week. He's got his microphone working and Pete's in the chat as usual.
Evening.
Evening.
Let's say hello to everyone in the chat room then, because I can see it whizzing up quicker and quicker, so I better get in there quick. Dotty's in the chat, hello mate. And Car Dinny, hello. Why were you shouting at Murph the other night, Dinny? That was a bit piss poor, mate. What are you doing? But I'm going to rant about shit anyway at some point. You know what I'm like. So, everybody's ranting at the moment. So South, hello. I'm mad as hell and I ain't going to take it anymore. Exactly. Everybody's starting to find the inner rant and setting it free. Set free your inner rant.
I'm actually fighting with the inner devil, Cookie.
Yeah, every day, man. The trip home, hello. And earache, wicking racking Dick Dastardly. Yeah. Oh, I can't do Dick Dastardly laugh. I could never. I'm crap at impressions anyway, but hello, mate. Ridiculizer, hello. Just Space Goat farts, hello. And yeah, if you wear a mask, you'll still be able to smell the Space Goat farts, yeah? Benno, hello. It's Dr. Rock, hello, mate. And Big Al, Alan McVicker, hello. Dino's in the chat with us, hello. Mahat Malevolence, hello. One day my head will grow into a mighty papal dome and I shall become Mitre Man. Okay, cool. I think it's going to be one of them evenings, isn't it? The energy is certainly there. So, the Rebel, hello. Tom Beresford, hello. Thanks for joining in. Mascara Snake, hello. Lowlands Pete, hello, mate. Thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah, come on, stick your thumbs up your bums. It's something I used to have on a T-shirt years ago when I was a kid. It's like this cowboy, like saying, "Stick your thumbs up, you bums." And I always thought that was quite a good phrase, especially with YouTube. Tuzzy, hello Tuzzy. Thanks for joining in the chat, and I know you're likely to share links and stuff, so thanks in advance for doing that. Lion share. Hello, hello. And I'm coughing already. Let's get man. Blooming chat rooms jumping around all over the place. I'm trying to scroll down to get to the latest post. Lynn Anderson, hello. And Nazi Naz, hello, hello. My grandfather. Am I your grandfather? Not as far as I know, mate. I want to see a blood test. Come on. Let's see that paternity test. I think new being, hello. Thanks for joining in. I think I said hello to everyone, to the latest, the realist, hello. Just at the, I think that's the latest on the chat room. Thanks for joining in, folks. Thanks for, joining in the chat room. I mean, in that sense, thanks to everyone that tunes in and listens and at least gives us a few moments at least to consider what we're talking and ranting about and rambling about. This week, it's nothing exactly in particular because I'm sure you're very aware of all the shit that's going around at the moment and all the crap and the latest crap. And part of the reason why I included in the Buggles rendition was the lockdown broke your heart. Yeah, we're back in lockdown, or will be soon in the UK. Isn't it? Does anybody else wonder why it happens to be that they're going to start the lockdown on the 5th of November? Did many people sort of click that? And why did none of the journalists say, "Excuse me, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Alexander Borisky Johnson, why are you saying he's going to start on the 5th of November?" Is there some reason to that? Yeah. But the other main thing that seems to have been made apparent over the last week or two, it certainly built up a bit of speed in what you'd call alternative independent media, whatever you want to call it. They're not mainstream. The numbers that yearly die from the influenza seem to have pretty much disappeared. Even the CDC themselves have said, like, influenza this year has only accounted for something like 8%. I'm probably misremembering the figures and whatever. I'm just quoting it from poor memory. But they've literally said, this year's influenza figures seem to have just gone. I wonder why that is. As if like magic. The COVID has killed influenza. So we should all praise the great COVID. I've considered doing this episode as like a church service to the new deity of COVID. And now everybody's worshipping at the altar of COVID. And whenever COVID says you must remain indoors after 10 p.m., otherwise I will eat your children, everybody stays indoors after 10 p.m. Well, now it's like, as of Thursday, it's going to be all day, isn't it? Not just after 10 p.m. So, lots of craziness happening here in the UK, and the energy is certainly rising at a rapid pace. I've seen a few video clips of what could you call it? Physical interactions with police on motorbikes. Whether that was just some random late night riotous behaviour, possibly. But it was funny how so many police seemed to just suddenly swarm onto the scene. I'm not going to link that video. I'm not going to show it or whatever, just in case, because of the way the situation here is in this environment nowadays. But I'm sure if you're interested, you can go and look. I think the link I saw it was from a Facebook post. So it may very well do the rounds in the background. And that's a lot of what's happening at the moment. Information and people's general dissatisfaction and frustration is rapidly spreading via the grapevine. I've often referred to it before as the Underground Railroad, not in the sense of you're trying to, help escaped slaves sneak through occupied territory, basically. But rather than being a physical movement of people, it's about the movement, the free movement of information to bypass the censorship. That's the real Underground Railroad that's happening now and has been building up for a few years. But that information is rapidly spreading around the country, and the grapevine is buzzing like it's electrified, because now so many people are becoming more aware and having to deal with the general censorship and the outright gaslighting denial of facts. Facts such as the CDC themselves have put out statements saying things like influenza is pretty much gone. The testing, Bojo and it was Dominic Raab, wasn't it? Bojo and Raab both stated publicly, directly, that the PCR tests are 93% inaccurate. The CDC themselves have said the death figures reported in the USA are actually 6% of what has been reported in the media can more accurately be attributed to caused by COVID or connected to COVID, died with COVID. So all these figures that are getting pushed around are basically meaningless. But the attitude that you're given is outright denial of those facts. That's gaslighting. So many more people are becoming aware. They might not know the terminology or the complexities of it or nuances and blah, 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 but they know they're being bullshitted. They know what they're being presented with is codswallop. When Bojo did his hour-long presentation and he showed all these graphs, I didn't even bother watching it. I only watched the 2-minute snippet of him actually saying, "Oh yeah, lockdown. We've got to do lockdown." I didn't want to subject myself to just looking at more bullshit when it was pretty obvious that we're just going to present bullshit. A load of manipulated data, statistics on a graph that were meant to bamboozle the public into, "Oh, don't bother trying to figure it out yourself, folks. Just believe the experts." And then Bojo thinks, oh yeah, we've got to have lockdown because the experts say, look at all these graphs and the graphs look terrible, so we've got to have lockdown. No. I'll say no, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to be paying it any attention in the same way as I didn't pay the last one any attention. The only difference it makes to me is the fact that I have to alter my routine or my shopping routes to fit those that are shut and those that are open. But yeah, it hasn't made any difference to me in the sense of going about my day to day as I normally would. But it's the only thing I've got in my notes, apart from where I rewrote the lyrics for the Boggles. The Boggles song, the original video killed the radio star, isn't it? I had to think about it, and the COVID's still in my brain cells. Other than that, the only thing I've got in my notes is Ill William. The article that was doing the rounds today, I think via the BBC, claiming that your favourite royal, Prince William, actually had the COVID not so long ago, but he valiantly fought it in private because he didn't want to worry the general public. Yeah. I just don't even know what to say anymore, because other than shouting bullshit, what else do you say? There is no point trying to address, I feel anymore, maybe this is just my point of view, there is no point anymore trying to address somebody like that to deal with their bullshit. It's far more practical and realistic to just say bullshit and walk away. Go and put your energy elsewhere. There's no point I feel now, trying to debunk or refute that kind of bullshit that they're pumping out. There's more than enough information moving around now that if people can't see how the BBC is deliberately pushing propaganda and psychological manipulation, it is the propaganda arm of the state system. If you can't see that now and get past your bargaining phase of desiring to, well, maybe we can fix the BBC, maybe they'll do the right thing at some point. No, they won't. Of course they won't, because the government isn't. I said ages ago, I think either during the other lockdown or just after it or whatever, they're all in on the lie now. The fact, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that they're now saying they're going to have a month-long lockdown now, and it could potentially be longer, is confirmation, absolute confirmation, that they're all in on the lie. Because not so long ago, even one of the experts from the WHO, I think it was, came out saying lockdowns don't work. They're not good. They do more damage than they help. They won't stop the spread of the virus. But Bojo claims he's listening to his experts, and his experts say, oh, yeah, we've got to have a lockdown. They're all in on the lie. They're not going to give up the lie. They are massively manipulating the data. The tests, the PCR tests, are provably useless for doing what they claim they're doing with them. The data absolutely cannot be trusted, but they're using that data as justification to do this, that, and the other. That should be a clear indicator that they're all in. They're not going to back down from it. They're not going to go, oh, we made a mistake. We'll make things better now. We won't do it again. No, this is continuing. And it's all part of that changing or forcing change onto your society, which includes obviously you all as individuals, all of us as individuals, forcing change on you that you didn't ask for in the first place. And in many instances that you really don't want anyway. It's not like they're forcing you to have something because it's going to be better for you in the long run. That's not the reality of it. No. It will be better for a small percentage of people, but that small percentage will most likely not include any of us, like any of you, like, you know, any of the general populace of the world. Anyway, I'm ranting a bit. Join in whenever you want, guys. Sorry.
I was going to say, Cookie, it's like we've got to stop feeding the beast, you know,
Yeah.
in that way, you know, see what we're actually doing. We're actually paying for our own propaganda. And they're seeing a massive drop in subs. That's why they're pissing. That's why they get pissed off, because they're seeing the subs go down. People are going, "No, I ain't paying for that anymore."
Yeah.
That's why they're reacting the way they are.
When you see some of the numbers, and I know obviously you can't 100% trust the numbers as they're portrayed by Google on YouTube and whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you look at some of the numbers on podcast shows similar to this one, but obviously, you know, trending mainstream kind of shows, you know, they're doing the popular stuff. It's not being created.
Sounds weird.
Hundreds of thousands views than the general TV, the general mainstream media. I can hear you, Dino. What you saying?
Oh, no, it was just sound went altogether then, didn't it, Peter?
Yeah, because you dropped down, Cookie, so I can hear you now again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, they're trying to mess with us again.
Go on, you're right now. I can hear both of you.
You're fine again.
Okay. Is that why people were typing in the chat that I'd gone into hibernation?
No, that was before.
I saw that scroll past and I was like, well, yeah, it is winter, you know. I do sort of hibernate in winter. I like weather. I know that might sound a bit weird thing to say, but I like weather, as in I like the rain and the storms, and I like the winter season. So it's nice to be sat at home in that knowledge that you're home and comfortable, obviously, yeah, but the weather's like raging outside your window kind of thing. That gives me a sense of hibernating comfort, yeah. But the William being ill that just seemed like, you know, now we're at the point where it is like, so I think somebody put in the chat, you know, let them eat cake.
Mm.
That's like, you know, they're rolling out the royals now to go,
Well,
oh yes, we're just like you. We get ill as well. Yeah.
The Queen and
Honest.
the Queen and Philip have gone back into isolation. Apparently, I heard today.
Did they ever come out of it?
No, apparently they're both clones. They've both been bumped off already. Apparently.
I was going to say that's where COVID came from. That Prince Philip you're seeing on the TV now, that's not the original Prince Philip. They already boiled him down and turned him into a virus like he asked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably this one.
Virus.
Yeah, I did manage to catch a movie last night. No, Saturday night it was. The new Borat one. Bloody hell.
I
Bloody
turned it
hell.
off after about 15 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Sacha Baron Cohen doing his usual stuff. And he does, you know, pushes it to boundaries. He's part of that big mafia, what they call that group. There's something that's a group. And they're all like, if you say they're part of that group, then you're an anti-Semite or something. Because they're basically like Robert Maxwell. No, like Robert Maxwell back in the day. You know, that group of like...
Zionists.
Well, they're like, there's a name.
A Zionist.
Yeah, well, them as well. But there was a name they used. I can't remember what it is now. Something group. And they're like the Italian mafia, or you get the Israeli mafia. You get, you know, we had Robert Maxwell back in the day. He was part of that. You know, being able to just, you know, go anywhere he wanted, infiltrate, change his name 5 times, get stuff from the British Museum for fuck all. Yeah, and all that. Yeah, they're all connected basically, and they're all like interconnected bloodline families, so they all help each other out, as you know. So you know, that's all part of that for me.
Quite a few people showed not so long ago. I know Jeff C covered the video clip of it. He gave a speech at one of the, I think it was the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, at one of their meetings, where he directly and blatantly called for overt censorship of any questioning of Israel and their activities. You know, so he's a blatant Zionist.
And I think people are seeing through that as well. That's what I was saying tonight. Someone, you know, just that naivety in people seems to be dropping. You know, they seem to see through this nonsense of people, you know, spouting things that create violence and stuff. And then they're saying, if you call me out for being violent, then you're a bad person. It's like, come on, you know, we're growing up now. We can see through this shit. And I think that's what they're scared of, because we can see through the nonsense. And if the media are backing that kind of lie up, which they do, then that's all being exposed as we speak anyway. It's been happening for 6 months now, you know, on a big scale, massive scale. So we just sit back and let people just absorb it, see it, come to their own awakenings and awarenesses of it, and see the bullshit. And then, you know, we're at least people are then beginning to withdraw their energy. Like I say, from the BBC, that's a good example to use, you know, withdrawing your energy from that.
I know this is referencing another, what is really a mainstream media personality, but I was pleasantly surprised at her directness and her honesty in what she was saying. I recognised her face, but I've never really watched any of the stuff, because she does like morning TV shows and shit like that. She's a guest psychologist. I think her name was Emma Kinney or Emma Kinney. Kenny or Kinney, I'm not sure on the last name, the spelling of the last name. But supposedly she does like the guest appearances on morning TV shows and things like that. And her, and I know this is Lord Sumption as well. I think we mentioned this the other week.
Mm-hmm.
They've started a group that I can't remember the name of, Recovery something UK.
He's just actually put a video out today, Cookie.
Oh, right, cool.
It was about what exactly the putting them on notice or something like that. I've not had time to watch it. But one at Lads on Facebook sent it to me. But I don't think you want to play it, though, will you, really?
Maybe not. Depends on whether it might cause copyright, basically, is all that matters, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I saw a clip of her on RT UK. They did a little quick sort of snippet with her, and she was quite direct in calling them out. You know, she was quite direct in saying what they have done and what they are planning to do with this new lockdown will kill people. Yeah, the lockdown will cause more deaths it's already, I think it's arguable, and there's already a mounting of evidence building up. The evidence is building up that the previous lockdown was what accounted for the extra deaths, the excess mortality, as they call it. It wasn't the supposed illness. It was the actions of implementing the lockdowns and other measures that caused those deaths to occur. And we're going to have the same again. Yeah, but like I say, I was quite surprised that she was saying it quite directly. And if she's connecting up with people like Lord Sumption, even though, my attitude on the aristocracy and whatever, he's a lord, yeah, but he's saying and he's saying the right things and going in the right direction. So I'm not gonna, refuse to have any interest in what they're doing just because he's a lord. But the more and more the people are starting to come out of the woodwork in that kind of sense, I think it's terrible it's had to get to this stage. But
well,
now
self-evident.
we're at this stage, it's starting to really push back now.
Yeah, self-evident. It's in your face.
Yeah. It's blatant, the gaslighting. Bojo on that Sunday announcement was just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was just like a waffling fool. Oh, well, the charts say, oh, yeah, so because of the charts, because of the experts. Talk about, shifting responsibility and trying to avoid blame and culpability. Yeah. He's just sat there going, oh, well, they say do it, so I'm going to do it.
They're all good at that, though, aren't they? Passing the book.
Yeah.
The best
just
thing.
Following orders.
Yeah.
This is something that now, I think, as well, it's indicative of how we're seeing similar traits emerge in people, just like in the general populace. The arseholes are really starting to reveal themselves now, folks, if you haven't noticed.
Yes. Well, yes, that's the time of revealing, as we've said many times. They're revealing themselves now.
I mentioned it the other night about, the amount of shit flinging that's been going on.
Yeah.
And there's more of that been happening. The steamers out there that like to go around and just say whatever shit just to be antagonistic with no logical reasoned argument, nothing. They just say it because they know people will get angry and it will start an argument, and then the conversation, wherever it's happening, just descends into abuse, and they sit there in the background giggling. That's some sick mentality there, folks. Yeah, but you will see that kind of shit happening there.
You've just described most of social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's not all.
When you're on a sinking ship, there's always the arsehole. And as you're probably quite aware, you watch like most of the action movies and that kind of thing, when there's kind of like a survival situation, there's always one person that's the idiotic, arrogant twat, who thinks his silly little jokes are so clever because he's just taking the piss out of all these conspiracy theorists that think the boat is sinking. And he's just like, oh, you stupid tinfoil hatters. Of course it's not sinking. The captain said it's fine. They're the person that get you killed.
Yeah.
Are they still going to be laughing when you're all taken off to the quarantine camp? And yes, I'm talking very dark possibilities and potentialities that we don't want to happen. This is why, as Peter mentioned earlier as well, why most of the time with these shows, we try to talk about those kind of possibilities and maybe even realities, but then take the energy back away from that. They want us to believe that it's going to be all that kind of shit because then we do it to ourselves.
Yeah, you create your own reality in that sense, where they push it out there and then you're thinking it's going to happen, and it feeds it.
Those hyenas, because that's what they are, hyena personalities that sit on the sidelines and just take the piss out of everything and wait for their crumbs to fall off the master's table so that they get theirs. They're the people that get everyone else killed. And they're the arseholes that are now revealing themselves. And this has been true throughout history. Whenever you get into a situation that is life-threatening, an emergency situation, a survival situation, people's true personalities come to the front.
Yeah.
And when you hear those arseholes farting, if you carry on pandering to them, they're going to cause you harm. Yeah, potentially they're going to lead to you suffering extremely. So just fucking walk away from them. Don't give them any energy. Stop feeding into their energy. When they try to bait you with their piss taking, just fucking walk away from them. Just call them a cunt and walk away. Yeah, part of what they're doing at the moment, remember last episode I talked about the kind of deliberate confusion that's being generated. Part of that is those kind of people, the useful idiot exploitation by the system. The system will quite happily be pushing those kind of arseholes onto everyone. This is why they encourage that kind of authoritarian personality demonstrated, proven through things like the Stanford prison experiment and other similar experiments that have backed up the findings. You encourage those kind of useful idiots to the front and they will police everybody else. They're the sociopathic and psychopathic personalities that will take advantage of a chance to dominate others for their own profit. Whether that profit is just making themselves feel better by having a giggle, by having some jollies, by being a steamer, they'll do it because they don't really give a fuck about anyone else. Yeah, they accuse everyone else of being a narcissist while they themselves are the worst fucking narcissist going because they don't give a fuck about the situation that's happening. All they care about is, oh, here's an opportunity to take the piss out of someone and make myself feel like I've proven myself correct in some way. You're not. You're a useful fucking idiot with a tin pot badge given to you by somebody who claims to be an authority, but who themselves is just yet another usurper. You're a sub-psychopath of another psychopath. You're a dog, yeah, in a pack of fucking hyenas. Sorry, rant over, but
Fine.
Enough now with all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't no time for that kind of shit anymore.
We ain't got time for that shit.
Nobody's got time for that shit, man.
That's the one. Projecting your fears onto others. I mean, that's the classic at the moment. It's like, why you do that? Why you're scared? It is all based in fear. Why people attack each other? They don't agree, or they feel embarrassed, or whatever it is, or there's some ingrained hatred for something that something happened to you, or whatever. Or it could be even going back further through lineage. You got to heal that shit. You know, you got to go back, because I mean, it's work out. You know, do the work on yourself, and don't fall into that cognitive dissonance and start, because that's the egoic. That's your ego stepping in, and you got to recognize what that is as well, and that's so important, because people will step into that immediately. They'll go into the egoic and start attack, without realizing, you know, it's not getting you anywhere.
I know we repeat this point a lot, yeah, but it's because it's foundationally important.
Mm-hmm.
The inner work on yourself is how you get past that kind of stage.
Yeah.
Most of these, they're not clinically psychopathic. They have learned to be psychopathic. They have learned and inherited and absorbed psychopathic tendencies because the system itself is psychopathic. If you analysed the system, the way our society is operated, it is psychopathic. It is clinically psychopathic in the way it treats people.
Yeah.
Right? So when you adopt that kind of personality, for most people, it's for all of us really, unless you're lucky and you've got good parents that help you with this, or you're in a situation where you don't suffer that indoctrination, the majority of us all get put through that sausage factory. We're all encouraged to adopt psychopathic traits because it's the way the world works. It's dog eat dog. It's climb the greasy ladder. All that kind of shit. It's the hierarchical political game, mate. You've got to play the game if you want to climb up the layers of the layer cake.
Yeah.
So they encourage psychopathic personality disorder. Yeah. So if you want to get away from this system, truly escape this system, it's not just about getting a little homestead somewhere where you grow your own food and all that kind of stuff. It happens in here first.
Yeah.
In your mind and in your heart space. Yeah, that's why Marley said, you know, you got to emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
That's happening.
The first place they get you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where the chains are really attached.
Yeah, around your mind.
For those people that have those kind of sociopathic tendencies, they've obviously got to become aware of themselves in the first place, but it's only through doing their own inner work that they can get past that. So if, you know, maybe you're taking it a bit personally, some of the stuff I've said and ranted tonight, maybe that's because you know some of the stuff I'm saying is right, it's accurate, it's true. Maybe shit happened to you in your life, either adult or child or whenever, you know, shit could have happened to you that pushed you that direction or encouraged you that direction. So you predate on other people psychologically, spiritually, because that's the way you were treated. But it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, you can get out of that. You can unlearn that. And that takes the inner work on yourself. Yeah. Why did I get angry at that guy because he ain't got a mask on? Maybe I should think about that for myself for a bit. Why am I just following the orders without question? Why am I believing blatant lies? Why do I feel a need to fit in, even though I can see that what they're doing is morally wrong?
Yeah. Common sense and logical thinking is completely gone at the moment, I think.
Yeah. That's the confusion effect, and it's like shock and awe.
Yeah.
You think of like what's happened over the year. It's like they've been doing a carpet bombing campaign psychologically. Yeah, metaphorically, we've been suffering a carpet bombing campaign. Everybody's running around like fucking headless chickens because they're so confused about all the shit that's happening.
Yeah. Straight out at war, but you get it. Psychological warfare.
Yeah. Trauma-based mind control.
Yeah.
Smack you in the face. Oh, that never. Oh, we'll look after you. Look, your face is injured, but we've got these bandages. Smack you in the face. Oh, you need a vaccine to cure that. Oh, smack you in the face. It's trauma-based mind control.
Yeah.
They trip you up, and then in general, for the general populace, this is the way I've sort of started to gauge. You know, we talked before about how there seems to be like a cycling of the news. You know, they'll only allow news to sort of obtain the public mind for about 6 weeks, a month to 6 weeks, and then they expect people to have forgotten what happened last month.
Yeah, they've been doing that for years, haven't they, with the rolling news?
Especially when
used
it
to
went 24/7. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, getting used to that quick turnaround where you can't think, was that 2 years ago? Was that 3 years ago? I mean, they do it to us all when it comes to that kind of headline news or stuff that's been, you know, affected the world.
Now they've been playing it in a way where it's like, here's the shock, you know, the smack in the face. And then you get about a month of lag for the general populace, or, you know, the majority of outcry to sort of catch up to the effect. And, you get like the turning effect of people going, hang on, that weren't right. He just smacked me in the face. And then they do it again. So you go another lag period, and then again, and another lag period, yeah? That's on an extended scale. That's trauma-based mind control. We give you a shock, we create a trauma, and then, like I think Taz put it in the chat, the Munchausen's by proxy. Yeah, we then come in and we care for you because of the effect you suffered from the shock that you just had.
Yeah, it's the
Tell
MK
us
Ultra.
about your mental illness after we just abused you and made you mentally ill.
An MK Ultra society, which they, you know, experimented on people in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and now the whole world's just under this kind of treatment.
Yeah. And this is, I think they've deliberately put the dark winter meme in there. You know, it's been talked about a lot about how Trump has got his sort of finger on the pulse in terms of this conspiracy demographic, you know, the anti-establishment demographic, put it that way. And he co-opted all of that into his previous election, and they're doing the same again now. You know, he's got a good PR team, basically. Biden now has the same kind of backing. So they're sort of playing a similar game where it's no longer, well, it never really was straight up politics, was it? It's not like two representatives meet at the podium and you decide, you know,
Well,
the
one's-
audience decides who's made the best arguments.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that anymore, folks. It
Yeah.
hasn't for a very long time. Now
you-
they've all got PR teams who are connected to psychoanalysts and marketing experts and, you know, all that kind of shit. So the fact that Biden makes mention of Dark Winter didn't surprise me at all, really. You know, it's sort of like, yeah, they're playing that whole subculture narrative. Yeah, they're putting something out there that for some of the general populace, it will just be, to them, they'll take it literally as he supposedly meant it, as in, oh yeah, this winter's going to be a bit rough. Whereas some people out there, that demographic of the conspiracy crowd, will go, Dark Winter, that was a project from such and such date and year, put forward by such and such group. They know that will happen. And that further reinforces their bigger narratives of, hey, all you people out there, your world's going to be changed forcibly. Tough shit. You've got to learn to accept it. You've swallowed the pill. Now, you know, ingest it, absorb it.
Yeah. Get on with it. I mean, the elections are tomorrow, aren't they? Or officially, that's when they go out tomorrow and vote.
Yeah,
in
when
the
the
US.
polling stations open.
Yeah. And
Can't wait till it's over, me.
Yeah.
and there's
So,
been a massive, well, even RT today was putting that out again, a massive rise in gun sales, you know, as to people buying weapons. It's gone through the roof.
I didn't see the particular video. I think Taz mentioned Farage had put up a video clip of him walking around
That's
Washington.
right.
They're all
Yeah.
boarding up the shops and everything.
Yeah.
I know Farage is doing his thing with a new party at the moment, and that, you know, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Farage is a fucking dick, but yeah.
He's one of these. He's part of them. That bullshit.
Yeah.
That Matrix. He's part of the Matrix. So
Hegelian
coming
opposition,
down. yeah.
controlled opposition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he fed everybody with the EU thing back in the day when everyone was trying to, you know, was working out stuff about how badly they were being screwed by Europe, and he did some good speeches on that, and that sucked a lot of people into this, you know, thinking this guy was, you know, the savior of some kind. They do it with everybody. They did it with Corbyn. They do it with lots of them, and they build them up, or they try and, you know, feed you the next guy who's gonna, you know, save the world or save you, and you know. And then even bring out people like Russell Brand. So laughing, yeah. People, anybody, they'll grab anybody to get you to go back voting and believe the political system is the only thing that works, and it's the only thing that is going to hold everything together. When in actual fact, as we can see right through it now, it's pulling everything apart because it's just full of corruption, lies, deceit, and horrible. You know, I don't know what they are. Are they human? Some of them, I don't know. But what they do and what they say. Yeah, go on. What's that?
You see title on that.
Yeah.
SAS book,
Dark
Winter.
Yeah.
That's Andy McNabb SAS book. That come out in, I think it was about 98, something like that. This come out.
Yeah.
And a lot of these titles that are used are code names for SAS operations that have been used in the past that these are using at the moment, or the government and that.
Well, it's psychological, like you said. We've said it many times. It's a psychic attack on us. It's a psychological operation on the world, on the planet, to try and steer this new rise in our awakenings and our what we see and what we're questioning constantly. You know, we're rising consciousness, and that's been going on for a long time, like I've said. And now we're at a pinnacle where we're, you know, they're trying everything at the moment, everything it seems, but people aren't buying it. Nobody is. Doctors, the epidemiologists, the professors, everybody. You know, people like us, people who just working class folk. We see through it every single day of the week, and others can now because it's, as we said before, it's self-evident. It's all around you. And you've seen the nonsense of it all, and with their Dark Winter, whatever. Yeah, what's that saying? Dark Winter games.
Yeah,
yeah. It's just, yeah.
Want to look it up? That's I'm guessing you could just add the required extra bits like the www dot whatever, and that
Yeah.
should get you to a description of that scenario.
But there's so much people can see now, and like you said before, Cookie, it's just a question of like you don't have to keep going through everything. People can see what is happening, and they have done since it all started, really. And now they've, some went along with it for a while, and then it's now a big turn the other way. And with them doing the things they're doing in the UK at the moment, where they're splitting up Wales and England and Scotland into sort of almost separate nations now. That's interesting.
Federalized zones.
Yeah, and they're now passing it is in Wales. I think he announced it today, Mr. Drakeford, saying about the fact that they were going to release us into freedom, but we can't leave Wales. Freedom.
Why would you want to leave Wales?
And you can't. They're going to. That's as they lock down England as well. So it causes that, that they can go over there and get drinks and beers and have fun, but you can't do it in England.
I can't remember.
Crazy.
I can't remember it to quote it properly, but like in 1984, where they're talking about how certain sectors had produced more this month, so they're getting a bonus, they get extra chocolate ration or something. And in the same way, in the Hunger Games movie, in that story, well, I say the movie because I've never read the books, but in that storyline, it's similar. Each sector is sort of pitted in a competition against the others.
Yeah.
And that's deliberate divide and rule manipulation. They want us to be annoyed the fact that Wales has been freed and we're all going into lockdowns. It creates conflict, agitation, and we end up hating on each other rather than them up at the top.
And that's a tactic we should all see through. I'm sure we do, and that won't work either, because, like I say, they're trying everything, trying to take us into the new year or into the Christmas time, the solstice, which is again an interesting conjunction going on there up in the cosmos. That's a once in a while event. It's quite a while ago that last happened, so we talked about it before.
He makes the announcement while that blue moon is still going through its phase.
Yeah,
just after All Hallows Eve, the day after All Hallows Eve, and then the lockdown is going to begin on the 5th. I don't. People say, all this astrology stuff is silliness. It's really. Yeah, the people up there, they seem to believe it because they keep doing these things on these particular dates and times. Yeah, so you may say it's silliness, but they obviously don't think it is.
It's when all the very high positive powers around him, cosmic powers around, isn't it?
Yeah.
On these sort of dates, or there's a low cosmic power around.
Yeah.
It's like the one of the marches down in London. The Trafalgar Square goes right through a ley line. But there was quite a lot of them that were down there that were saying there was a lot of energy they could feel at the time of the march and everything. But you see, that's got a hell of a lot to do with it. We're all connected. Everything in this cosmos is connected electrically.
Yeah.
And they keep denying that.
Or I like to think of it as flowing water, which was one of the reasons why I got into Bruce's philosophy of stuff. It does flow like a water, like a fluid. So therefore it's susceptible to eddies and flows like tides, and also it's susceptible to pooling and stagnating and being gated and funneled and channeled, which over the years I've more come to accept that is the principle that a lot of the ancients were building upon, which is why certain sites are in certain places, are certain shapes and designs made from certain materials, certain structural shapes, sacred geometry shapes, etc. That's all because they knew this energy and the flow of the energy can be controlled like flowing water, like a plumbing system. Long time ago, chatting with one of my nephews, and I asked him the kind of just, sort of rhetorical question. You know what I'm like, asking this kind of shit. People say, what do you think the most relevant foundational point is that what we call civilization is based on. And I feel it really comes back to being able to control the supply of water, having a plumbing system, basically. All the major civilizations across the planet had some way of managing, controlling, and moving around water supply, because water is intrinsically required for us. Yeah, you only live about 3 or 4 days without water. You can go weeks without food. Yeah, and according to some older cultural practices of fasting and things like, you can go quite a long time without food. But liquid, no, absolutely not. You cannot.
It's also a cleansing of the body as well, isn't it? Just staying on good, clean mineral water flushes your system out.
Water fasting. If you do nothing but obviously consume the water you need, preferably a litre plus per day, at least. Don't overdo it though, because you can oversaturate your body. But at least a water per day, no food intake, no solids whatsoever, and do that for 3, 4, 5 days, and your system, I was going to say automatically, but that's not really accurate. It's your biological system kicks in a cleansing process. I've never tried it myself. The longest I've ever gone is a couple of days, but supposedly you can do this for quite a few days, and it encourages your body to go through a cleansing process, which will improve your health. But please research it for yourself. Look into it for yourself. Don't take my half-remembered information about it as being sacrosanct.
But we've been here a long time and we've survived. I mean, the springs and wells and that are there, and people are, I'd say with the lathes discovering where water is, where water flows, with the dowsing techniques that they've used over thousands of years and still do use them today, to find water. And then the history that they've changed, like you mentioned, going way back, all the stuff that we know about, the stuff that they tell us or the stuff that we can find out, but it's still limited of what we really know. But it seemed highly technological at one point, very technological, and it's been underplayed a lot. And told it's just a load of Stone Age men in a cave or whatever.
Yeah, a load of cavemen piling rocks up.
Yeah.
It was nice.
And it wasn't that at all. So they've played that card with our history, and all that bullshit that we know about, changing the history, the winners write the history, as we know. So we've talked about this for a long time. Again, people see through this now. They should see where, they're being lied to, because lies connect to lies and connect to lies, as you find out, as you move through this. If they lie about that, what else are they lying about? It's this kind of cascade, isn't it? Like a domino effect. What people are going through now, I think, if they're really, waking up to this and the big lie, I call it, of everything.
Problem is, though, the younger ones are getting persecuted that are actually coming awake. I think Cookie's going to actually play the videos for what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I will do in a minute. I'm glad you reminded me. I have got it queued up. It's just I was distracted, talking about what we were talking about. But I wanted to show this as well.
Yeah.
This is from the 1800s, I think. So 1912, I think that says. But it was mainly just because it includes this element, And I know this, from my point of view, this is obviously missing some elements, so the secret societies and the black nobility and the things like the Jesuits and shit like that. Some of those things are missing.
Yeah.
But the main relevant things is the way, it categorizes it in tiers. We rule you, we fool you, we shoot at you, we eat for you. That's the middle class, that's the enforcers. And I would argue that really these top two tiers are actually only one tier. Because the monarchy and the religious monarchy, they're one and the same. They just wear different dresses, that's all. But they provide the same purpose. They're the kings of the material realm. They're the kings of the spiritual realm, allegedly.
Yeah, and politics coming out of religion, as you know.
And
Right,
there's no kings without a pope to put the crown on the king's head. In most places in the world, but not everywhere, but in most places that's true. There's no British monarchy without the Vatican.
Your
I know
minister.
our monarchs aren't currently Roman Catholic, but the British monarchy was founded by permission from the Pope, from the Vatican.
And you have your minister, your prime minister.
Yeah,
I'm sure back in the day you'd have to, prime, yeah, and that house of what is it? Debate, house of the Parliament looks like a church, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's built like a
like a
religious.
Yeah, to the religion of the state.
Yeah.
I always like that image that, although it's Banksy, I thought he did a really good image where it's an oil painting of Parliament, but instead of the MPs in there, it's all chimpanzees. I haven't got it.
Yeah, I've got that somewhere myself. I'll have to find it.
Because I've showed it many times in the past. I ain't got it on this file. So
sums it up though, doesn't it? About how, and people see through this now more and more. And there is no left and right. They're all the same. As I said before, they all piss in the same pot. They're all connected.
The ones that
place to play that clip. Because when we're saying like more and more people are starting to see this for what it is. This is a 14-year-old kid. And the guys are asking him about his experience in school. And obviously he's mainly talking about what happened in his situation in his school. But you listen to what he says, and it's obvious that he's quite aware of a lot of the bullshit that's being pushed around. So even the younger people are starting to click on to the kind of stuff we're talking about. Let me play it. Hopefully, let me know if the audio comes through all right. It should do.
Go on then, Rob. Rob, who are you speaking to, mate?
I've just met him.
What's your name? Okay, so what are we having here? What conversation are we having here?
Well, basically, I'm saying as a young man, as he is at school and stuff, he's standing up for his rights to basically get a lot of grief from him. And then we said, ask him a few things.
So what sort of grief are you getting, lad?
So, it started when my younger brother Harvey, he coughed in class and we were taken to the office, told we had to quarantine for 2 weeks. The next day I came back and the head staff, the same person who told me to quarantine, took me into her office and she was telling me that I should be wearing a mask and you should be at home quarantining. I said, with all due respect to this, I do not care. And she was saying to me, look, Ethan, I do not care what you or your mum think. You are getting people killed. It was so...
Excuse me?
I know, how shocking is that? That's what I'm trying to say to you.
So she sent me outside and there was another person out there. I thought she said, ha, dumb.
Yeah.
And so I just ran off. And after a few weeks when we came back, I just was not wearing a mask at all. Decided not wear a mask whatsoever.
So what kind of grief have you actually had? Obviously with, like, say, other people's opinions.
So after the teachers finally decided, screw it, we're just not going to bother to not wear a mask. They decided to section me off from everyone else in the class.
Excuse me?
They kept me away.
How did that make you feel?
Annoyed because I was not allowed to be anywhere near my friends, anyone else. I wasn't allowed anywhere. I'd sit by myself, work by myself, and the actual abuse started because every time someone walked past me, they'll either call me a Karen, they'll call me a twat, they'll start saying wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. Wow. And I just tell them to go. I just say fuck off. And
No. Say how you feel. Mummy's just told him off.
Yeah.
Go on, carry on with yourself.
And so now like I have to wait for everyone. Like when I'm waiting to leave for the classroom, the teachers actually have to like come and get me and wait until everyone else is like gone. So like at the end of school, for example, I have to wait until everyone in the school is gone, and so the teacher can come and take me out. And for like lunch, because now because of quarantine, we only have 15-minute lunches. I have to wait, because basically it takes 10 minutes for everyone in my class to leave. So I have to wait 10 minutes to go get my lunch. I only have 5 minutes to eat my lunch.
So how the kids have to eat their lunch in school?
You have to, so in school, at show comp, you have to take your mask off, take a bite, put it back up, and chew whilst you're in the mask. And the first day I came in without a mask on, I was refused to go. Yeah, I did not get my.
So what did you do for food?
I just didn't eat anything.
You didn't have no food?
No, I didn't.
So they saw you without food?
Yeah, I just.
Do you feel that these pupils are taking sides? Do you
Yes.
feel that they're being manipulated into taking sides?
I feel like they're manipulated to taking in sides because even because my own.
I'm not putting words into your mouth. I'm just asking you what you think.
Obviously. So most of the people at my current school were also in my primary school, and in my primary school it's pretty much the same. You had to follow what the government said, and I think they've only been like their minds have been twisted into what to think.
How old are you, sir?
14.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and his eyes are open at 14. His eyes are open at 14 people out there. 14. And you and elders out there. Yeah.
No excuse, bro.
Yeah, I got no excuse.
Yes.
No excuse whatsoever. You want to say anything else, big man?
I guess wake up, don't wear a mask.
Don't wear a mask.
Look at that. As a click on it, content no longer available.
Taken down.
Serious? No way, that's Mano, that's just disappeared as it was playing.
Have a nice
I've
life.
had that a few times.
I guess it will still play on my system because it's now in my cache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if that's people watching what we're doing at the moment and quickly running to Facebook and flagging shit because we're sharing links for it. Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Seems strange, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll put the link in the side chat in a moment. But yeah, that might just be a weird glitch from Facebook. But yeah, you just saw the pop up with it telling me that it's gone. So there you go, folks. He's 14 years old. I could say, maybe he's only sort of saying this stuff now because he's had that experience in his school. So he's sort of been directly confronted by the situation. But you heard what he said. He was obviously not completely unaware to what's going on. And he was making a choice to want to not wear a mask at some point. So, I don't think he's saying what he's saying just because, now he's been affected by it. Now all of a sudden he cares. No. Unfortunately, it is a truism that for most people, they won't really give a shit until it comes knocking on their door. And then all of a sudden they'll be running to the front asking for help. Yeah. But some people are starting to realize that what affects the whole affects the individual. What affects the collective affects the individual. What affects the individual affects the collective. So if they fuck with your society the way they're doing, it's going to affect all the individuals within that society. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, doesn't matter. Eventually it's going to come and knock at your door in some fashion. And on that point, this is something I can't really share the trailer for because I don't trust Google that it would be fair to the copyright laws. They don't anyway in the first fucking place, so I can't trust them. There is a new film coming out called Songbird, and you find the trailer for it easy enough on YouTube because obviously it's getting the usual kind of film promotion at the moment. A few people have talked about this, and I've seen a couple of people cover it and look at the kind of thing that's represented in that movie. But check it out. It's been done by some fairly big names. The director, I think, is I know Jeff C talked about this the other night. I can't remember his name. It's Bay, something Bay, Michael Bay or Howard Bay. I'm not sure, but he's supposedly renowned for making horror movies, that kind of thing. And they're making this movie that is based on the current situation, i.e. COVID is real and it's killing people, but it's set in the year 2023, I think, or 24 or something like that. And now it's COVID-23 because it's mutated. And now it's even more deadly and it's going to get everyone.
What a surprise. Yeah.
But the movie contains background elements that are really the relevant thing because basically they're all living in an extreme police state environment. And in that respect, it gives you a good overview of how the kind of experience that kid was having, being in school and seeing how the children, the school children, are being influenced to think a certain way. In other words, they're being indoctrinated from propaganda. This is what they do in classic dictatorial regimes. They do this kind of shit in Korea. Yeah, in North Korea, they indoctrinate the children to think a certain way and to be aggressive towards anyone who thinks differently. That may not necessarily be physical aggression that they're encouraged to do, but they're encouraged to ostracize or to be authoritarian, self-policing each other, saying, oh, that kid doesn't care about killing people. That's what they said to, Not wearing a mask means you don't care about killing people. They're implying that he's psychopathic and that his actions will cause the death of people to make him frightened into following the rules.
And that's the teachers projecting their fear onto the kid.
Yep. And following orders.
Mm.
Yeah, because they're getting told to do that by the system, by the education system. And it's the same in multiple industries. It's not just in the education, but I thought it was relevant to represent how you target the youth of a generation. When that youth grows up, they will enact the indoctrination that they were given as children. So if they're told that the new world is going to be, they're not obviously given this kind of description, but they're going to be living in a police state. In other words, there is no privacy. The way they're going, following the kind of technocracy, communism, fascism bullshit, you won't own anything. You won't have any property whatsoever, no home that you own, nothing like that, no car or whatever. And that will be normal, and you should love it. Yeah. So what they're teaching those kids now, like he was just talking about, is going to lead to a kind of environment that is represented in that new movie that's coming out. Yeah, I don't want to live in a police state. There's a lot about this system that I really don't like, but I certainly don't want it to get worse, for fuck's sake, because that's potentially what we're looking at, yeah?
But that's what Hollywood does anyway, isn't it? It's best to promote fear and, all that.
That's why I mentioned, he's supposedly renowned for doing horror movies.
Mm.
So I think that's deliberate. They've got somebody, like I say they've got him. It may not necessarily mean that, somebody got in touch with him and goes, oh, the government wants you to do a horror movie. But the point is, he's good at doing scary shit. And what is it they want to do at the moment? Scare the fuck out of people. So this idea, the way it's presented in the movie, that COVID keeps going and mutates to become this new super bad shit that's killing nearly everyone on the planet, that encourages people to follow the rules to make sure they get rid of COVID now. It doesn't question the existence at all. Mm-hmm. It doesn't question the validity of things like lockdowns and wearing masks. No, they're considered the new normal that works to get rid of the risk. Yeah. So by making children feel like everyone around them is a walking bag of pestilence that they have to stay away from. And if they come too close, they do like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and just start squealing at them. Yeah. That's where we'll end up. A police state environment where people own nothing, pretty much know nothing, have fuck all cognitive ability because their brains have been squished full of fucking propaganda bullshit, and they don't want to be around anyone else.
So we're talking about China, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like, Cookie, that Naples is trying to set an example. All businesses open tonight in Naples in response to the lockdown orders. Closure from 6 p.m. All shops in Naples are simply remaining open. And as far as I understand it, they are not charging VAT.
That's even better.
Anyway, a model of peaceful resistance. What are the authorities going to do? Arrest the whole lot of them?
Yeah.
Mm.
That as well. That propagates on the the things that happened last week or the week before with the gym, the guy running his gym in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the group of them getting together and staying open and whatever. You know, that proves that if people do that kind of action, the system can't do anything about it.
Yeah. There's been another one as well. It was a soft play area. He had 5 visits. His last one last night. They gave him another fine again last night. But he wouldn't give them any information. And obviously, they can't give you a fine if they have no information.
Yep.
But what they actually did in front of him on video and everything is just searched him. And then went like that to the other couple that were filling all the paperwork out. They went, that's his details though. So I mean, really, by law, they're falsifying paperwork because they haven't turned around and properly identified that guy as being the guy they're writing on that paperwork.
Yeah.
So you're in a no-win situation with them anyway. But what Liverpool have done, as far as I can gather, they've got a GoFundMe page up for all the fines. And it's being taken out of that pot.
Yeah, the last I saw, the one video clip with him was he was saying that they're not certain yet whether the fines are going to stand, so they're going to sit on those funds basically and not use them. And if the fines get squished or get thrown out of court or whatever, then they'll use the fund. Well, they said they'll use it for some kind of charitable cause.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as that's the last I heard, which was several days ago. But I think it's all, I shouldn't say all, but certainly a large amount of it is going to hinge on what happens with people like Lord Sumption. Because Lord Sumption, that case being brought by Simon Dolan, you know, even though he's in an appeal situation now because it got through it the first time, that's still the fact that it's keeping that kind of pressure, the judicial pressure on what the government is doing. So if whatever Lord Sumption and those other people decide to do, you know, where they're going to take it next, we're back to that argument that we made ages ago that at some point all the fines could just be thrown out.
Yeah.
And we considered Ultra V Ray as crime budge, I don't know his name, as he described it, and the whole lot will just be thrown out.
Yeah. What happened to that High Court ruling that they were deemed illegal?
Well, that's the thing. There's been a few reports of several fines just being thrown out because they've been beyond the law. Yeah, they're basically illegal. But it isn't sort of mentioned in any way that that's happening en masse for loads of people who are getting those kind of little petty fines, you know, like a business being fined £1,000 for being open or something.
Mm.
Not everybody's been mentioned or accounted for, but that could be a casualty of the information war, as in the information is not getting around enough for us to be aware of the fact that it's happening on a scale in any way. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is being deliberately removed off a lot of social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Especially when it comes to the legal things like that, you know, you've only got to go and talk to people like Webby and his bills of exchange, you know, and you'll soon see how that kind of information gets squished by the system. It might not be totally censored or blocked because otherwise they turn people into martyrs, but like the Benician as well. Yeah, he's been putting out loads of good information from what people are talking about and what he's been doing, but you can't find him on YouTube. You won't find him on Facebook. You know, he's getting squished into the background so that the system basically keeps the majority of the public's attention elsewhere, and they never hear or see that information.
But there'll be a rise of others, and they're coming, and they're releasing their information, and they're speaking out. I think that's what's happening as well. So those that are trying to sort of shut down and shut up, there's more coming. There's a lot more people setting up. There's a lot more people using the media for the right reasons, you know.
I think you got what I'd call like the flood effect now as well.
Yeah.
I think it's hit the required percentage demographic to start really getting exponential. Not just And I'm not trying to suggest that that's because people like us have been sharing the info or whatever. No, it's because more people are feeling the effects personally. What I talked about earlier, you know, for a lot of people, unfortunately, they won't react until it hits them in their own pocket, until it's banging on their door. But now when we've got situations like happened not so long ago in Birmingham, and I don't know this for certain, but supposedly this is happening in places like Liverpool as well, where there's military on the streets helping with the COVID situation, either doing tests or going door to door offering tests or what. People open their curtains, look out onto their street and see military walking about. That's them feeling it knocking on their door. Yeah, they may be all in on the bullshit. You know, they might believe what the government's been saying, but I guarantee you that when they first see those military, they'll have that little butterfly in their stomach and be like, why are they here? Why are they on my street?
Yeah, and then grandma gets put in Facebook jail and realizes it's not as free as she thought it was, and and start questioning more and more. Yeah, that's what's happening. People are it's all ages. It's not just it's not old, it's young, it's everybody. It's everyone is seeing through this. Like you said, the 14-year-old kid there, the young and the old can see what is going on, and we are waking up to it all.
The harder they try to grip everything, the more we slip through their fingers. The more people slip through their fingers. Yeah, like trying to grasp water. The more you try and grip it, the stronger you grasp, the more squeezes out between your fingers.
Yeah.
Do you not think this Million Mask March on 5th is going to be used as an example? I think it's going to be hit hard myself with enforcement.
Possibly, yes, and that was part of my wonderings when they said it was going to start on the 5th.
Yeah, exactly, you know what I mean?
It's like a bait. They say, come on, riot, riot.
Yeah.
Riot. They really, really want it, yeah?
But it's not going to happen.
I don't know, it might a bit.
A bit, but not to the extent that they think it is, and won't.
We can all...
You've got a lot of people that have lived... pretty much a low standard of living for quite a long time because of all the austerity bullshit. You've got that then amplified by obviously everything that's happened this year. In some situations, that'll be amplified to the extreme because people may have lost their jobs, even lost their homes or lost a relative, or, all this kind of pressure. And then there's an opportunity, as we all know, when the rioting starts, it's a perfect opportunity to go out looting, or to get revenge on somebody in your local neighborhood that you've never liked and you think he's a cunt and you want to go and beat him up and shit like. So for a lot of people, there's a good reason to riot. All the criminals will love the opportunity if there's a riot going on because it's a great distraction while you're burgling the local store or whatever, yeah? So the risk of it happening is very, very, very high. But I don't think the majority of people would be rioting because they think that by rioting they're going to change the government's attitude.
Yeah.
The people likely to riot will be either, like I've just described, criminals or opportunists or whatever, or they'll be agent provocateurs. Yeah, the police, the agencies, I should say more rather than the police, absolutely will have people out and about at the moment who are actively trying to encourage people to get violent. To start attacking the police and shit like that. There'll be people out there doing that kind of shit.
Well, we've seen scuffles, we've seen things recently at protests. We have seen it go on. And you will always, like I say, when you're out in big numbers, they will always try and, get that going, influence it with, like you say, agent provocateurs and people who are just out for trouble, who were sent in deliberately, bussed in, ferried in to these things. We know that's the tactic they use anyway. So that's what you've got to be aware of when you're at these events. If you are going there in a peaceful, you will see things that, they will inevitably kick off. But like I say, the vast majority, I don't think would want to do that. But again, it's seen, do protests work? Are we naive still to think that's going to change anything? Are we still that naive? This is where we're standing now. It's like, do you think they're going to change anything if you just all go out and wave your banners like we've said before? It's about where you put your energy. The BBC is shitting themselves. They're losing license fees like you wouldn't believe. It's coming down. You know, that institution's fucking dead. You know, it's going, and that's good because it's just perpetrated lies and horrible. It's harbored paedophiles and fucking all sorts over the years, and spouted a load of shit. So that's coming down, and that's where we're at. You know, that's what's happening, and that's where we make our change. That's where we do our energy work, where we take our energy away from these corrupt bastards. And yeah, let's see where we work then. It's not about going out, but people will still do it. That's unfortunate, but they have to come into that awareness themselves of, you know, is this really getting me anywhere? Really? Am I still paying my license fee? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, are you, where can you hurt them the most? That's the key. And you've got to think clever and box clever, and, you know, not just go out there and shake your fist and then go home and watch I'm a Celebrity bollocks or whatever. You know, it's kind of got to get past that now, and I think we are getting past that. You know, people are en masse now seeing it, and it's across all age ranges and all sexes and how many genders, I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, it's reaching everybody. You know, everyone can see this, and it's how they react to it. And what there's, you know, like I say, projecting fear seems to be the order of the day coming out of the education system with their pupils and stuff. I've heard that many times. And that's how humans are, isn't it? It's like they're being fed shit, lies, or overreactions, and they do exactly the same thing themselves. And that authoritarian stuff that they still have in schools. I mean, wow. You know, they're even, I think, extending that to colleges and things these days, like teaching, you know, talking to the 18, 19-year-olds like they're shit, you know, and they're fucking adults. You know, that seems to have, you know, I've heard that a lot from younger people, you know, when they get talked to like that, or, you know, it's not on. You know, we're moving out of that now, guys. It's not about, you know, you must do this, I expect you to do this, or whatever. You know, that's all changing.
I was going to say some of that as well is just, unfortunately, because a good proportion of the population has been infantilized. So especially for the younger generations, that, you know, they get to 18, 19, 20, but the system certainly is still treating them like they're a child.
Yeah.
That sort of permeates through into the rest of the culture in the society. So now a lot of our culture treats its audience as if you're all fucking 5-year-olds.
Yeah, nanny state.
Yeah, and the PC correctness kind of shit. So you know, I'll quite happily stand up and defend the arguments that you shouldn't be psychologically abusing each other, emotionally abusing each other, and whatever. But at the same time, I don't agree with the political correctness bullshit, because that's just another form of abuse. Yeah.
Cookie, did you catch Nolan Pete's comment?
Which
I'm
one?
watching a terror attack in Vienna.
Hang on,
it looks bad.
Scroll up a bit.
Is that breaking news, is it? I haven't looked at anything since I've been here.
Yeah, I haven't seen any breaking news since about 7 this evening. So
yeah.
Well, there's been those attacks in France as well recently. So, I was watching a terror attack in Vienna.
Yeah, central Vienna, at least some believed dead, several injured. That's the latest, I think.
Yeah.
Jihad in Vienna 2020, I guess.
Vienna, of all places.
Yeah. Italy, that, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it that way?
I wonder.
Can't even remember. The geography's gone out the head.
I was just thinking similar. I was wondering if is there a lockdown active there at the moment? Because if there's not, this is a good way to amplify people's terror level, so that they'll want the security of a lockdown.
Pete's just put that as well, you know, terror lockdowns.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I've just got a little bit more. It says the shooting reportedly took place on a street near a synagogue. Jewish community leader Oskar Deutsch tweeted that it was unclear if the Vienna synagogue was targeted in the attack, as it was closed at the time. It sounded like firecrackers, then we realized it was shots, said one eyewitness, quoted by public broadcaster. It says an officer guarding the synagogue was injured, so reported their local newspaper, Kronen Zeitung. I think that's how you say it.
That's going to get played on the anti-Semitism card.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
There's been an increase in that over the last few weeks, including, what's his face, Corbyn, getting kicked out of the Labour Party for gardening leave. Yeah.
Oh, all that anti-Semitism stuff again. Yeah.
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 This all as well ties in, I'd say routinely, but not, 100%. It's just a kind of generalization, because I've seen this happen multiple times during an American election. Yeah, the closer and closer it gets to the election date, the more propaganda we get about Israel and anti-Semitism and things like that. Because unfortunately, even though of course they'll deny it and you'll get labelled as a conspiracy theorist and blah 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 blah, there is an immensely powerful Jewish lobby that pumps immense amounts of money and influence into not just American politics but also UK politics. And there is a lot of truth to some of the information about how manipulated the Labour Party is here in the UK. So all these accusations about anti-Semitism in the Labour Party proves the influence of those lobbies that are backing Israel, the Friends of Israel. They are manipulating the Labour Party of your country. Yeah, and if you try and point this out to people, they just label you as an anti-Semitic. So it goes on and on and on. But there is a wealth of evidence and proof. There is a wealth of evidence and proof to show that Donald Trump is only where he is now because he's been backed by money that comes basically from Israel. Sorry, folks, but, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Jewish people. You can fuck off with all that kind of usual bullshit racial labelling, but that's the truth of it.
I actually watched a Trump parade going through the Israeli streets last night.
Yeah.
All flying Trump flags, American flags, as well as Israeli flags.
Yep. And see this. Oh, actually, yeah, it's pretty good to mention it at this point. Who got arrested just the other day? Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was to bring that up, actually.
And who is it that he really works for?
Israelis.
Yeah. You're back on that same chain again.
Yeah.
So why is it all of a sudden that all this drama is happening around a particular ethnic group again? Just a few days before the American election. Funny coincidence, folks, but that actually reminded myself, as I often do, you know what I'm like. My question for this week, it's becoming a bit of a thing now. This isn't so much a sort of personal introversion kind of question like I've asked in some of the previous ones. This is a bit more general, but I felt it was highly appropriate after Bojo's announcement the other day. And I've asked this question before, so I thought I'll say it again, put it out there again. How many coincidences does it take before you see the conspiracy? Yeah, how many coincidences are you going to put up with before you admit that there is a conspiracy that is driving the alleged coincidences? Are you a coincidence theorist? Do you think everything that happens in the world is all just coincidence? Do you think just dismiss conspiracy as meaningless gibberish without any consideration that the very definition itself happens every day on a daily basis, even amongst you and your own social and peer group? Yeah, we're all in one way or another tied into various conspiracies. Oh, what you getting your sister for Christmas this year? Oh, I was thinking of getting this. Oh, well, don't tell her. You get her that, and I'll get her this, and that's a conspiracy, folks. Yeah. So the very fact that definition is reality. So are you just gonna, absorb that indoctrination propaganda from the system that whenever anyone says anything about conspiracies, it's automatically just silliness, bullshit, tinfoil hat, weirdness, craziness, mental illness that you should stay away from because mental illness is infectious, like the COVID? Or are you going to be able to sit and think for a moment, take a few breaths and think, well, how much evidence have I seen? How much reasoned argument have I seen? How much coincidence? How far does this coincidence defy logic? It's gone beyond 1,000,000 to 1 chance. You know, the fact that all these things have happened this year that all coordinate to this idea of things like a great reset of the world. If you went into a betting shop and asked them to figure out the odds on
100
that
to 1.
happening by coincidence and see if they'll even let you place a bet on that, they probably would, because, you know, proving the conspiracy is another thing, and you'd have to prove it to win the bet. So, but you ask somebody that kind in a betting shop, what would be the odds of all these things happening by coincidence? So, how many coincidences does it take before you admit there is a conspiracy?
Mm-hmm.
It's also a little bit like asking the question, where do you draw your line in the sand? Yeah, because they keep putting these things in front of you saying, oh, it's just a coincidence, folks, nothing to see here. How far do you let that push you back before you say, no, here's my line, no further?
We know what digital currency comes online properly on the 1st of January. It's going to be running in the background until everything gets switched over on the world currency of XRP, which is apparently going to be backed by the gold standard. Whether that's true or not is left to be remained to see.
And they'll probably turn around and say something like, it's true on paper, which is just, you know, contradictory in and of itself, but they'll expect the public to just swallow it. Yeah. So, this is not the gold you were looking for. Do you fucking Jedi mind trick?
It's a kind of gold pen.
This is not the lead wrapped in gold foil that you were thinking it was.
That's actually been done, that.
Yeah, it came out not so long ago, didn't it? A whole load of gold bullion was found to contain nickel and lead.
Yeah, the lead bars with gold leaf over them.
Yeah. Or dipped in gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of shit is happening now, folks, because certain elements of every nation around the world is still fighting for its independence in one way or another. Whether that's their nationalistic independence in the sense of they're genuinely politically desiring to keep their nation independent. You know, people like Farage who'll claim that he wants his nation to be independent and whatever. But then you've also got the criminal elements. Yeah, they'll be fighting to keep their turf, keep their patch, because when this global one world system is fully enacted, every mafia around the planet is going to be affected by the new lines that get drawn on the maps, and including the virtual map of the world. Yeah, they're going to be affected by all that. So they're all going to be involved in this shit. They're all going to be fighting for their patch. So doing things like, acts like that of major fraud, because as far as I remember, that was between nations as well. I can't remember who it was. It might even have been China, but I'm not sure. It was several months ago, or maybe even last year. But just to make my point, he's like these kind of weird things that you'd think like the kind of script from a movie or whatever. That kind of shit's happening at the moment. In the chaos of the changing of the age, all the opportunists are going to be coming out of the woodwork to try and make a buck, or like I said, fight for their turf. You'll see a lot more con men and women, con people. Oh, better be politically correct. You'll see a lot more con men doing the rounds, promising that they'll save you from this, that, or the other, as long as you just buy their product, or buy the paper gold from them. They'll sell you a bit of paper that says you own some gold.
The businesses will fail because they'll have all bad luck. People who are not coming from the right intention these days. That's where you're going. You're just going to have bad luck and not a successful life.
Their
No.
profit is founded on the system itself. Their profit cannot exist without the system being in place. So for those people, they are, whether they're conscious of it or not, they're fighting to keep the system the way it is.
They're hanging on to the matrix when we're demanding change, and we're not demanding it. We're going to do it. We're doing change. It's not a question of asking for permission. That's what's going to happen. So they just have to go along with it and do whatever they need to do to maintain some kind of, if they want to keep making something or thinking they're, going to be rich or something. I don't know. If that's where their heads are.
That's that terrorist thing that I'm sure in there at the moment. Cook it. Large-scale police operation is underway in Vienna following a shooting incident. 6 terrorists on the loose, apparently.
It's a developing story then, isn't it, this? So as we speak. Yeah.
13 minutes this has been out, this story.
And they're already labelling it as a terror attack, so...
Yeah. Several people are injured, with several people believed to be dead after a shooting in central Vienna, according to the Austrian Interior Minister, Karl Nehammer described the incident as a terror attack and said that one attacker had died in the Austrian capital. Another attacker was on the run. He said a large-scale security operation is underway. The incident took place near the central square.
Schwedenplatz.
It's Austria, not Italy. What did you say Italy for? I thought we said Italy, didn't we?
No.
No. It was me asking, was it near Italy? Because I couldn't remember.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
confused.
I was thinking Italy as well.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get my geography right.
Yeah,
One of the false flags.
My geography.
The false flag, and another one to...
Potentially, yeah. The fact that they're calling it out straight away, and there's already a dead patsy on the scene.
Yeah.
So if that dead patsy is dressed appropriately for whatever particular group they blame it on, the Allah Akbar or whatever, then it won't matter if they don't catch the other 5, because they could still perpetuate the terrorist narrative,
Got roadblocks up, as what has been reported to be gunshots could be heard. At the moment, I can confirm we believe this is an apparent terror attack, Interior Minister Karl Nehammer told Austrian border ORF.
The fact that they're saying not to use public transport as well is a little bit curious. It's sort of like, well, are they suggesting that the terrorists escaped by catching a bus or jumping on a tram or something? Which, I know it seems a bit silly, but then it'd be a good way to sort of blend into a crowd or something if your weaponry was hideable or something like that, yeah. But it also sort of makes it seem a bit like, well, are they just trying to scare people away from using public transport? Because if they're saying that's an indicator that they think they haven't trapped them in the roadblock and they've already escaped the scene, basically, which means they could be at large and a danger. So are they letting the public know that they think they've escaped? Or are they just saying it because it serves another agenda purpose of making people scared to use public transport for however long before this situation is dealt with? This could drag on for months.
Atomic bullet holes it was, I believe it.
You mean like the one in the Canadian Parliament?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to run around with a weapon with it loaded with blanks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you've got somebody pretending, and that they're...
Yeah. But the amazingly weak AK-47 round that he used in France, where he shot near the policeman and it hit the paving stone.
Pavement.
Didn't crack the paving stone, nothing. Didn't even chip it.
Yeah.
That was at a range of about a foot, what is technically point-blank range.
That's the first thing I went to look at, that me, for the marks in the town. Like, obviously, we need using them sort of weapons The military, I understand what damage they do.
Yeah.
And there were no marks whatsoever on that pavement that day. And
Didn't they say that guy? They talking about the one in France when you run up to him,
Yeah,
and they said in the
Bataclan.
report, they reported in the paper the next day he'd been shot on the head, which he
Mm.
hadn't, because when
Nope.
it's just a complete lie, you know.
Yep.
With that weapon at that range, that would have made a mess of his head, and you'd have seen it splatter.
Yep. The back half of his head would
Like,
have turned jelly.
small hole in your front, blow back of his head out.
Yep. But you know, most of the public are used to Hollywood movies,
Mm.
so you know, once the adrenaline is pushed up by the racing music and the potential threat on the screen and whatever, they don't really pay much mind to the details. They're already on the roller coaster ride.
Yeah, that's it.
But,
Right.
we'll see. I mean, it's certainly, as people have been saying in the chat, you know, it's certainly interesting how all of a sudden this has kicked up again within the last week or so. I mean, I know there's other alleged mitigating circumstances in France because it's a lot about the what do they call it, heresy of showing images of Muhammad and the caricatures, the cartoons and stuff like that. But I think it goes a lot further than that. You know, or a lot of the people who are involved in the things that have been recently happening in France happen to be coming from, or immigrants from countries that are ex-French colonies. So it's a bit more than just, you know, a religious thing. There's more going on with that. And I think it'll be the same with this. Again, it will be labelled as immigrant terrorists or Islamic terrorist attacks and things like that, but it's not. It's more about the destabilization tactics.
Yeah.
Demoralization, destabilization, disrupting society in general, but with a purpose. Yeah. Like oh man, I'm trying to remember the terminology for it that was used around things like Gladio, strategy of tension. Yeah, they will governing bodies, kings, rulers will stage attacks on their own people so that the people think they need a ruler to protect them from the dangerous enemies. Yeah, I can't remember the Plato quote correctly. I think it was Plato or Socrates. Yeah, the ruler will create terrorism on his own people so that the people have a need for the ruler to have the military and protect them from the outsiders.
It's all coming down. The rulers, yeah.
Throwing as much fear as possible into the pot, there, aren't they?
We see through it now. Like I say,
They're gonna-
the genie's out the bottle. How long have we known about false flags? How many more people are finding this information out? Gladio B and all of these things hidden away. They're there in the public domain if you go look for them. You know?
And for the coincidence theorists out there, maybe we should do this as like a segment each week. For the coincidence theorists out there, if you really don't want to accept this point and you're highly dubious about what's just been said, please go and look into the Gulf of Tonkin affair, where it has now been officially admitted that that was a conspiracy theory to distract the public into believing that US forces had been directly attacked by the Vietnamese. I was going to say South Vietnamese, but it was still just.
But to start a war is the
Yeah.
main point. To start a war which claimed millions
flag.
and millions of lives off a false flag.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you think of the long-term effects of that as well, because the people in Vietnam are still suffering from undiscovered landmines, Agent Orange effects, as well as they're still trying to recover from the destruction of their country's infrastructure. You know, you don't just rebuild everything overnight. It takes decades. It takes a few generations.
At Laos, it's hardly livable.
Yeah.
Most bombed area in the world, wasn't it?
Yeah. And all of that based on a false flag that was created by a conspiracy. Yeah, that false flag wouldn't happen without a bunch of
Oh.
conspirators
Hmm.
setting it up and carrying it out. That's
And
a
what-
conspiracy.
And what about the weapons of mass destruction? Let's not forget that one.
What weapons of mass destruction?
Exactly. What
Well,
you on
they
about?
seek them here. They seek them there.
Another excuse to attack another country.
New Beings will say, remember Vienna is an Austrian Swedish named, she's put a Swedish word, the Eastern Reich.
Yeah, that connects as well. With the moving and the shaking of the Reichs starting to emerge again. And some of the conflict we're seeing could be between the different houses, like fighting amongst themselves. It's like the secret societies fighting amongst themselves, you know?
Yeah, because they turn on their own in the end when things are hard and tough and things are coming down and they know the game's up. They start attacking each other.
Yeah.
They're each their own.
Who's got the key to the granary?
Mm.
They're all after being the one who's holding the key to the granary. To put it in a really sort of ancient, basic, simplistic way, simplistic metaphor.
I left mine at the mates, the key.
Yeah. But a lot of
I
that.
don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Osterreich.
Yeah, it's probably Reich. Is it R-I-C-H?
Osterrike.
Osterreich. That sounds like Osterreich.
Osterreich.
No, I'm sure other people that can speak the language will know a lot better than me.
Yeah.
I thought Vienna was in Italy.
I did. Yeah, I really did.
Yeah? Oh, I was sold on that one.
It's Austria.
Where did the Reich originally come from? Where did Hitler originally come from? Yeah, there we go. We did all right. We did about an hour and 50 minutes before mentioning Hitler, so that's not too bad for the internet.
Yeah, Austria, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The
little Austrian painter man. But nobody liked his paintings. They all told him he was crap at painting. So he got upset and started a war.
There's a bit of evidence flying about that he died in, I think it was 62 in Austria, or somewhere around that, like where.
Yes, Kendo mentioned it earlier when we were chatting. More sort of confirmation evidence about Hitler and the conspiracy theory that he went to Argentina after the war. He wasn't shot in Berlin. He wasn't discovered in his hole and all that shit. No, he had already gone. He had already escaped, and he moved to Argentina and he lived there for a ripe old life. And there's now more evidence to back this up. There's been, for a number of years, there's been quite a bit of evidence. I've looked at it before in the past, and I felt, I was pretty confident that, there's enough evidence there to prove that he went. And now there's more evidence emerging. So, Who wrote the history?
The year of revealing.
The winners wrote the history, and the winners wanted the public to feel better and to feel that the job was done. Yeah, like Bush on the aircraft carrier saying, "We got him." Yeah, they wanted the public to feel that the job was done, it was over with, the war was definitely over, and the only way to do that is to behead the king.
Yeah.
This is why in Romania, and I remember watching the fucking videos of this back in the day in the 90s when they were going around the internet. In Romania, they dragged Ceausescu out in front of the building and just machine gunned him on the spot. Yeah, they put him up against the wall, him and his missus, and they just done. And they filmed it so that the public could see it, so they knew the job was done. Yeah, so the winners wrote the history. They missed catching Hitler. He'd already escaped. but they needed the public to think that the job was done successfully and they'd won.
Well, they found the bones of his so-called skeleton, whatever was left behind. That wasn't his anyway. That was identified that what they said had happened, and so that was like years ago. That was years back when they said that they weren't his remains and didn't belong to him. So that's where all of the other stuff comes from. You know, where did he go then? You know.
Apparently, Russians have got them, his remains, from what Kendall was saying, and they won't let anybody test them.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's
Funny that, isn't it?
Who was it who got into that centre of Berlin to allegedly find him in his bunker, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
It was the Russians. Wasn't the British or the Americans, it was the Russians that finished the war. Yeah, they were the ones that were the final blow. Or so the storybooks go. The history books are just like storybooks, full of fairy tales. Fun and adventure and horror and terrifying, scary woods and darkness. And I think I'm just getting too silly now, so I should.
Kendall's just saying Operation Wolf was the name for his escape plan.
All right, cool. Sorry, I'm half distracted. I'm trying to scroll through to find some of the memes that we often show. So I'll get that sorted. Hang on, let me show this one because I think
Operation Grey Wolf is correct, isn't it? Not Kendall's like with his wars.
Yeah.
Done a lot of research on wars, Kendall, hasn't
he? Yeah. Very knowledgeable guy, very clever guy, and very wise as well.
Well, if you just understood the First World War and the Second World War, that would wake you up a hell of a lot to just what's going on now. It's just understanding those two events and what really went on.
As well, he's really good at painting and
excellent.
Doing the paint jobs on those boats. He's fucking excellent.
Yeah, and some of his pictures I've seen from his paintings and that. And some of them what he's explained when he's put clouds and everything and fighter planes and everything on ceilings.
Yeah.
Been around our Kendall, hasn't he?
But don't ask him about the Russian mafia.
Yeah. Pity he's not in it.
What happens in Moscow stays in Moscow. Anyway, let me show a few memes because we're sort of running up to the 10 minutes, and I thought I'd do this like we've been doing recently because some of them are definitely worth sharing. You know, this has been doing the rounds quite a bit. If you form your own limited company, which is quite cheap to do online, you know, we registered Company's House, isn't it? Registered with Company's House. And then you have a business dinner, a works dinner at your home, so all your family can come because all your family are employed in the business. And then after Christmas, you just dissolve the business. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about taxes and all that kind of, you know, business charges and blah blah blah. You just say, "Oh no, the business has folded now because all my family are a bunch of cunts."
I think some families are secretly looking forward to not getting connected up
for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's just so appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought this was good. I haven't sat and read through them all yet. I saw this doing the rounds the other week. Well, not the other week, the other day, several days ago. And it's a new version of the Kabbalic tree of life, or the Kabbalistic tree of life. But they've replaced each of the Sephiroths. Right, each circle is like a node, a Sephiroth. And in the original, they represent different sort of spiritual elements and materialistic elements and whatever. But somebody's gone through them and replaced them with like a map of the interlinked, what could you call them? Power players. You know, some of them are secret societies. Some of them are like the House of Judea, Kings of Babylon, stuff like that, Masons. Yeah, obviously some of this may be questionable, but I thought it was certainly a brilliant effort and a really good idea to lay it out in this kind of fashion.
Yeah.
And that one, I think we saw that one Wednesday. Yeah, I think some of these are a bit old. There hasn't been many meme updates recently. I think we've all been suffering the chaos effect of this last week.
Yeah. I've seen a few, but I've not been. I've been trying to distance myself because it's one of them where it starts getting to you again after a bit, doesn't it?
Yep. It's beyond a joke now.
Yeah.
Yes, we can have some gallows humour. Yeah, some gallows humour about what's been going on. But the situation as a whole and the way it's rolling out is beyond a joke now. Which is why all my ranting earlier is basically, I shouldn't say basically, but it is because I've reached the end of my patience now with trying to be either nice or at least diplomatic, cordial with people that have, well, I was going to say counterpoint of view, but even that is not true in many respects. And it's why I've been somewhat authoritarian with the way I run the chat and run the channel. If I feel people are being abusive or they're being deliberately disruptive for no good reason, then I will boot them out. I will block them because I'm well aware of the co-intel methodologies and tactics that are used by the agencies and also used by private third-party companies. Yeah, in this modern age, it doesn't need to be somebody from MI5 or MI6. It could be somebody from working for a private company that does marketing research. Yeah, but what they're actually really doing, they might be labeled as marketing research, but what they're really doing is basically corporate espionage, which includes acts of disruption and provocateur actions. So I know there's people out there that do this kind of shit because they're paid to, and they use the same methodology as the military and the agencies. Because if you want to learn about that stuff, the information's out there, folks. Go and look up COINTEL, counterintelligence. And even though you won't exactly get the handbook that they're issued, you can certainly find out most of the methodologies that they operate from. And absolutely, you can find out the kind of psychological methods that they use to try and attack or exploit or disrupt people. Yeah, destabilization tactics. So when I see that kind of shit, for years now, to a certain degree, I've tolerated it. Because as we know, in the spectrum of peoples that we are, there's always a few people that are just a bit cantankerous, or they've got a certain way of interacting and communicating that gets on other people's nerves. You know, they're not appropriate, or they're a bit aggressive, or they're a bit crude in the way they communicate, whatever. You know, so yeah, I can deal with most people. I can tolerate a lot. I'm a very patient person. But at a certain point, there are methods, whether they're doing it consciously or not. For some people, I know they're not doing it consciously. They're just being twats and arseholes, basically. They're just trolls that think they're having a laugh. But we've got to a point now where the gallows humour is when you're all on the gallows. All on the gallows. At the moment, we've not been marched up onto that gallows platform yet. So at the moment, we still have the opportunity to stop fucking taking the piss out of each other just for a bit of a jolly. Because this situation is now getting to the stage where sooner or later, somebody's going to come and take you out the line and lead you up to that gallows platform. Are you going to be fucking laughing then? No. So to a certain degree, I don't have the patience anymore to even bother trying to deal with people like that. If I think there's a possibility that they're just ignorant, or, you know, they don't know about certain subjects, or they weren't aware about certain evidence and shit like, fair enough. Yeah, nescience is something that can be addressed through information, through learning. But when they just repeatedly are there just to take the piss because they think it's funny, it ain't the time for that shit anymore, man. There's no time for that kind of joke anymore.
Gone. We're gone.
Yeah. So I think, you know, a bit like the Scooby-Doo, we're getting to the point where, you know, everybody knows that the face under the mask is not the dreaded COVID. You know, there isn't the COVID hiding under that monster mask. It's people like that, like Priti Patel. You know, everybody always wants names. You know, Priti Patel, Boris Johnson, Dominic Raab, Dominic Cummings. You know, you could list all the names of everyone in the fucking cabinet here in the UK.
Matt
And then you
Wancock.
Yes, thank you. Matt Wanker. And then you could start getting into the list of names from other groups and institutions and organisations and secret societies and corporations, and on and on and on it goes. Yeah. Sorry, I'm ranting again. I didn't mean to do that, but...
Just have you noticed Pete's comment again? Apparently 57 dead now, unconfirmed reports.
That's true. That's quite a big thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? It is true. That's if it is, if it's well, it was mentioned false flags, but people do die in false flags.
Yeah.
That's the other thing you have to get your head around as well with false flags. They do kill people,
Yeah.
you know, as well.
They will happily kill people
Mm,
because it cements the belief that it was a genuine attack.
yeah.
You know, if they just put fake bodies down, people are more likely to go, hang on a minute, that looks like a mannequin or a dummy. If there's real bodies on the ground, people are more likely to accept what they're told straight away.
Mm,
It makes me think of the one in India a few years ago, the one in the hotel.
yeah.
Or was it in Pakistan? Sorry, not India.
There's been a few,
Well-
hasn't there? Been over the years.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to find out within the next few days, folks. You know, hopefully we get through this selection cycle pretty quickly, and hopefully with as little damage as possible, preferably none at all. Yeah, keep all your fingers crossed and your toes.
Yep.
And we will see what happens in the coming days. You've only got a few more days to wait now. We'll be back again on Wednesday night, and we'll be doing pretty much the same again, having a look through the news events and catch up with that one. You know, see what's developed on that as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, Dinny, I do need a laugh. I laugh every day, mate. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw that when I was scrolling. Yeah. I need a laugh. Yeah, definitely, man. Of course I do. We'll be back on Wednesday night. Reality Chat, 8 p.m. GMT. I think Steve should be on this week on Thursday night with a mystery show. And yeah, as you know, there's lots of good podcasts around at the moment. Don't believe all the bullshit. Don't believe all the hype. Don't let them terrify you or trauma you in the usual ways that they do. When you get the opportunity, plant some seeds, but don't aggress on people. Don't try and force them to believe. Yeah, it doesn't help. In the long run, it doesn't help. Anyway, I think I've
Cheers,
got
Cookie.
Remember, divided we fall, together we conquer.
Yep. And the 5th of November is coming up. So thanks again, everyone in the chat room. Thanks for joining in. We'll catch you again soon. Click the button. Cut cheese.
All right.